Okay, Wendy. The recording is in process today. We're a little bit late today. Today is Saturday, January 14th. Saturday, January 14th. It's 10:06 Central Standard.
Yep.
Got busy this week. We had the national championship game. Wendy, on Monday.
It was Monday.
It was Monday. A lot of people reached out wanting to make sure you were going to watch the game on Monday. I hope you were able to watch the game. I think we all were. A couple of things real quick. Number one, I think I'm having a bad hair day, and I wouldn't be having a bad hair day if I could go get a $10 trim.
Right, but they won't let you.
Having a bad hair day. All I want are for these real, these super cut places that are all these strip malls. I want them to put a chair in the front and say, this chair is for $10 trims, and you've got 5 minutes.
Right.
Okay, that's all I want. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing, Wendy, that has come up to my attention is the background in my office. So this is my office. This is where I sell insurance all day, every day in Birmingham, Alabama. We do home, auto, small commercial. This is where I do business. Now, let me explain something to you. That picture you see there,
yes,
that is from my girlfriend.
Okay.
I put that up because the sound in this room bounces off, and it's like an echo chamber.
Okay.
That's where that came from.
Okay.
These here, I think, are getting a lot of girly vibes.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but they're kind of canvassy.
Right.
So they've got some soundproof qualities, I believe.
Right.
So this is kind of a hodgepodge of stuff that I have in my office, Wendy.
Well, I mean, if that's the vibe you're going for, my background's no better. I've got a mirror in the back of my house. I think for next year, though, that I might get like a background. Like I might get something to hang up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Make it real legit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. And make it more interesting for the backgrounds.
More background, interesting. Wendy, what else you got, Wendy? Because we're going to have to get to what we got to get.
Nothing, man. I want to talk about this game. I mean, that is, it was a disaster. I mean, first and foremost, lowest. Right, go ahead.
Let me do this real quick. And I'm sorry to interrupt you because I like to set it up sometimes. You've got the national championship game, Wendy, and it's on Monday night. Everybody's hyped up. We did our listener predictions, which is always the best one that we do every year because love the listeners. Most of these people are our friends. Love to hear what people are thinking. And Wendy, it was like a 50-50 split. People really thought TCU might win the game. People thought Georgia would win the game. Wendy, Georgia wins this football game, a national championship game, 65-7. They beat TCU 65-7. Let me hear what you got, Wendy.
Well, it's absolute crap. And I'm going to go off on one because, as a football lover, I want to see a good national championship game, period. I don't care if Alabama's not in it at that point. I've already depressed and got over that. Now I'm just ready for a good game, right? And let me tell you something. I listen to the media every year, and I shouldn't because the media convinced me that they could do something too. And I know better. I know Jim Harbaugh's teams are never good. They always figure out a way to make it in, and then they can never win. And TCU beats them, and we're like, oh, well, maybe it's somebody. They were never supposed to be in there, Trey. They were never supposed to be in there. The Ohio State-Georgia game should have been the game. It would have been the better game. It was the better game. Now you put TCU up there, and Trey, just when they line these kids up on the field, I knew. I was like, there is zero way. The unevenness of all of the players, the absolute. Yes, the quarterback for TCU is the Cinderella guy, and he can make things happen. Not against Georgia for 60 minutes, y'all. Not against Georgia for 60 minutes. Not against Georgia. It was a catastrophe of a game is what it was. In my opinion, a catastrophe of a game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Wendy. And we all get caught up in these vibes. And TCU's the Cinderella story. And Wendy, it's like one of those games that you watch, and Georgia comes out there, and within the first 10 minutes of the game, whatever it is, you realize TCU is not going to stop Georgia. TCU will not stop Georgia. If TCU scored 75 points, Georgia would have scored 85 points.
Yep.
There was no stopping the Georgia Bulldogs that
Yep.
night, Wendy, and it just kind of slaps you across the face. Number one, I will say it was the most boring game ever known to mankind.
Yep.
Georgia fans might have liked it, but for us, it was terrible. I mean,
Right.
I left. I mean, it was over in the third quarter. Boring football game. But
Yep.
it's kind of like, why didn't we see this coming? I mean, I think a lot of people were thinking maybe TCU had a chance, and I mean, there was a part of me that thought it was too. But Wendy, Georgia's just totally dominant in the game. And I'm gonna say one thing right now: you better watch what you're doing when you're playing Georgia, because they're coming to hammer you down.
Yep. Like Kirby Smart. They weren't the hunted. They were the hunters. And I'm going to tell you something. They went out there and did what we thought in our hearts and probably in our guts that they thought they were going to do. Again, I just thought maybe TCU would be a little bit more ready than what they were. The problem with the narrative, Georgia, and I'm going to get on one because it's what I do. And I don't really care who I make upset right now. If y'all want to be proud of that national championship, you go right on ahead. I would not be proud of that national championship. That would not be one that I'm writing home about to everybody saying how great I played, how great I did. That's nothing to be proud of. No different than when we played Notre Dame a couple years ago. Nothing for us to be proud of. We hammered them, and we should have never taken our foot off the gas. That's what we should have done. Second thing, I'm actually glad that Georgia didn't take their foot off the gas, because the college football playoff needed to know this is what happens when you put two unevenly matched teams in the college football playoff. TCU really had no business being in the top four. They really didn't. They really didn't, Trey. But my biggest thing is that it was the lowest watched national championship of all time. So the lowest ratings of all time. If they had them a lot at the beginning, they were gone by the first quarter. You know what I mean? I fell asleep in the second quarter, dude. Missed the whole second quarter because I fell asleep on the couch. Woke up before halftime. So, I mean, now we have to wake up to this narrative of, okay, well, Georgia, they're going to, they're the new dynasty. What? Excuse me? You beat TCU, dude. You beat TCU. What do you mean?
That's who they had to play. Yeah, but I mean, that's who they had to play. I mean, they can't predict who they have to play. I mean, that was how it was set up. Well, and here's the thing about Georgia, Wendy, though, you got to understand. I know you think it's a soft schedule, or a lot of people think it's a soft schedule. Look, they come out and drill Oregon early in the year. They beat Tennessee. They beat Ohio State. It's not like they beat LSU. So
they did.
It's not like they cakewalked in there. Wendy, they're 15-0. Anybody you put in front of Georgia this year, any team that you put in front of them, they beat them. Now, we might not like it. And we might not be like, well, we had a tougher schedule. Well, as an Alabama fan, I think we did, probably because we had to go on the road to LSU. We had to go on the road to Texas.
To Tennessee.
We had to go on the road to Tennessee. So, but that's fine. We're not comparing that, Wendy. The dynasty thing is a little bit different. Is Georgia the best team in college football? 100%. You can't tell anybody on planet Earth that Georgia's not the best team in college football this year. But let's start talking about dynasties. Dynasties. In the recent dynasty, which is Alabama, they won like 5 or 6 national championships, Wendy. These guys have won 2. Now, listen, Georgia might be well on their way to never losing another college football game.
Absolutely.
Just FYI, Georgia has only beat Alabama in the last 8 matchups one time.
One time. That's right.
One time in eight matchups, which was the one that they needed to win, which won them a national championship last year. So I don't hate on Georgia. Georgia is who they are. And I'll tell you this, if you want to play with them, you better figure out a way to beat them, because that's who you got to beat.
Listen, I'm not hating on Georgia, but I will tell you their schedule was soft this year. If you're going to tell me that the Oregon game matters, it's the second game of the year, first or second, I can't remember. Nobody's juices were flowing. Look at what Oregon did all year after they played Georgia. I'm just saying it could have been an early fluke, like this early in the season fluke. But I'm going to tell you something, Trey. I had Texas early in the year at Texas, and I figured out a way to beat Texas by a point. But let me tell you something. You saying that Georgia's the best? No, Alabama is the best team in college football. I don't care if Georgia won a national championship or not, because they beat TCU. They beat TCU. The best game Georgia played all year was Ohio State. Best game they played. And then this year, coming up 2023, soft schedule. They don't play anybody. But let's talk about records for anybody that wants to listen and hear about it. Meetings total with Georgia, 72, okay? All-time series, Alabama leads 42-26. 42-26, guys. That's the largest victory. I'm sorry, the longest win streak. Y'all didn't beat us from 2008 to 2021. So I want to talk about that. You went a whole decade and couldn't figure out a way to beat us. So, Trey, sure. What I didn't want to deal with and what I don't want to listen to is the narrative that the media wants to play. I agree that Georgia is doing amazing things, Trey, with a very soft schedule. I agree. They're doing amazing things. And they're going to continue to do amazing things in 2023 with their baby toddler schedule that they've got. They're going to do amazing things. And guess what? I fully expect to see them in the SEC championship game next year. I fully expect that. But I'm going to tell you something, Georgia. You don't own Bama. We still own you. And you don't own a dynasty yet. You've got years and years before you can do that. Can Kirby Smart do it? Absolutely. Because he learned from the best. His name is Nick Saban. So if anybody can do it, it'll be your coach, Kirby Smart. But I don't want to hear about a dynasty till you got 4 more under your belt, Georgia. And that's all I have to say about it. I'm worked up about that. Obviously.
Very good. Very good.
And I read it off. So I actually know everything I said was right.
Okay, because the internet said it. No, listen, Wendy, I hear you. And I think a lot of people do feel that way. And it was a fun year. Let's talk about the year and
Yes.
we'll wrap this thing up. Number one, we've really enjoyed doing this. Really enjoyed the feedback that we get on this.
Yes.
It's something that it's really fun to do. It was a great season, a lot of really good football games, Wendy. Yeah. As far as the finale was terrible.
Awful.
And the finale was just terrible. I mean, it was 65-7, and it was never a doubt. But overall, a great season. Wendy, where do you think we go from here?
Well, I mean, I think that we just keep getting on here and having fun with whatever I'm on one about, which is typically football. That's my biggest passion is SEC Alabama football. I absolutely love it. But I would like to talk about whatever your favorite game from this year was. Your favorite game of the whole year. It doesn't have to be Alabama, like your favorite game.
My favorite game probably the Alabama-Tennessee game. I know Alabama got beat in that game, but it was a fun game. We actually went to that game. It was a great atmosphere. Really, Tennessee gets up early. Alabama comes back. Alabama has a chance to win it. They don't. Tennessee wins it. They shoot off fireworks, and they basically burned down Knoxville. So that was probably my game of the year. If I had to say game of the year, what was yours, Wendy?
You're going to laugh. It was that Georgia Ohio State game. Best game the best game of the whole year for when it was played, what it was being played for, the national championship in that last, little bubble of games we got. I just felt like Ohio State and Georgia played, both teams, both group of kids just played lights out. And I love to see a game like that. I just love to see a good game. And the officiating was really good in that game, I thought. So it just felt like a game that really nobody had to argue about. Does that make sense? It was a good, clean game. Best SEC game for me was Alabama, Texas A&M.
Really?
This year. Oh, yeah, just to shut out Jimbo Fisher. I'm not saying that, but
ugly.
I mean,
it was ugly.
It could have gone one or two ways, though, and I'm glad it went my way.
Yeah.
But, and then the last thing is, who are you the most looking forward to seeing next year? Like, which team in the SEC? I know what mine is.
Well, I know. Well, go ahead and tell me what yours is, Wendy.
I'm South Carolina, because I said it last year about South Carolina, and South Carolina didn't do anything for me until the last 4 or 5 games. So for me, it's going to be Shane Bieber and those South Carolina Gamecocks every year until he figures it out. But I like Shane Beamer. I really do. I think it's South Carolina. Who do you think it is? I know you hate South Carolina. You can't stand talking about them.
Well, I mean, South Carolina is a fun story, but I mean, it's kind of like, listening to your radio before you get to the concert, Wendy. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, that was fun, but I want the real thing. And the real thing is Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, all the big dogs. No, I will say this: the West is a lot more fun to watch to me than the East. That might be because we've watched all these games for all these years. I think the West is a lot more competitive than the East. There's not a lot of teams in the East that really get me going. I don't think Georgia has really anybody to worry about. They have to travel to Tennessee this year, but I mean, okay, I mean, you know, even if they do lose that game, you know, I don't see them losing any other games, and Tennessee's got a pretty tough schedule. So
yeah, they do.
That's really what I'm looking for. You know, I think Alabama's going to play in some big football games again this year. Really want to see if Tennessee can kind of come back. And let's talk about Alabama for a second. Wendy, who's Alabama's quarterback going to be? Everybody just thinks we're going to put in another quarterback. Who is the guy? And I don't even know who's down there, to be honest with you.
I don't either.
Keep up with it.
I don't either.
I'm assuming Nick Saban's got this under control. What Nick Saban better have under control is this defense. I'll tell you that much. And we better start hammering some people a little bit more on defense. Because what you saw out of Georgia is what Alabama needs to be. And that is DEFCON 4, we will blast you if you move a square inch out here. That's what we need to do. We need to kind of get away from all these guys that can run and fast and all this other stuff. We need what I like to call the Kentucky headhunters.
Yes.
It's a band, but I like
We've got to go back.
We've got to get back to physical, brutal football that when people walk out on the field against Alabama, they do not want to play anymore. So I hope Saban can put that together. I hope Alabama can have, you know, I don't know what they're going to do for their quarterback. So, but I'm interested in I'm interested in next season. So.
Well, didn't our defensive coordinator, didn't he just leave or something to go to?
Yeah. Pete Golden, when we're recording this, Pete Golden is leaving Alabama and going to the Ole Miss Rebels. It looks like he
I ain't sad to see you go. Bye-bye.
He might have a new drinking buddy over there with a little Kiss.
With old Kiffin, yep. I want nothing to do with him at Alabama. I wasn't impressed with his tenure. I could care less. I when I saw it on the news, I started clapping. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be upset. I was not upset about that at all. I was like, let's go. See you later. Do you want me to help you pack your stuff? I can, get a U-Haul for you. I can get you out of here quicker. Here's the thing. I haven't been impressed with our defense in a couple years. Even in 2020 when we won the Natty, I still wasn't that impressed. And I'm with you. I want to go back to old school 90s, 2000s Alabama football when we're punching them in the mouth. Like, that's what football is to me. Football's physical to me. I love everything about the aggressiveness of the sport. I love it. I love everything about it. And that's what I'm with you. I want to get back to that. But as far as the quarterback goes, this prolific ride that we've all been on since, with these quarterbacks, it may be coming a little bit to the end. We may need to start leaning back into our run game some and, trying to figure some things out. I don't have a clue, but whoever it is, better figure out a way to get me in that top 4 next year. I'll tell you that. I don't think I can go 2 years in a row without playing for the big game. You know what I mean?
All right, Wendy. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up. Listen, I love you. And we might try to jump back on here. Look like we got a good SEC basketball season coming up. I'm not sure exactly when we'll be back on here, but when we will, we'll put it out. Obviously, I love you. This has been a lot of fun. And listen, here's the other part that I think we were talking about the other day is on this YouTube channel, to like and subscribe to this channel. I want to be 100% honest with everybody out there. Every video that I watch, people say like and subscribe and share. And I mean, I guess that's fine. That's what we would like for you to do. We have no ulterior motive. I'm not sure what it does for us.
Right.
I don't know what it does for anybody, but everybody says it to like, subscribe, and share. I think that would be good too. I don't know what it does.
I think by sharing or liking the page, when you and I come, so what it'll do, when I didn't like the page till like a month ago because I didn't know I was supposed to. So I finally subscribed to our own page. Okay. And it sends me an alert when you post something. So it allows me to keep up with, Trey posted a video. So, but I'm with you. We just want everybody to know we don't get paid. We don't come prepared half the time, especially on my end. I get stats wrong 24/7 unless I'm reading it from my phone. But if you want to keep up with when we do drop our next videos, you would have to subscribe to do that. That would be the reason to subscribe if they want to.
Hey, and plus, we're looking for content too. So anybody that normally texts me, anybody that normally texts Wendy or talks to us, we'll be happy to shout you out on here to give us some content. So Wendy, I'm all I'm off to have a good Saturday. I've got to work a little bit, try to sell some
Good.
insurance. So I love you.
I love you.
I love you. You got anything else you need to say?
No, that's it. Joey and Chris were right, though. Uncle Joey and Chris were right. They nailed it. They said it was going to be a blowout, and it was absolutely a blowout. But let's go 2023 college football. That's all we can do. Hope for a better year.
All right, Wendy. I'll talk to you later. I love you.
Love you. Roll Tide. Bye.
Bye-bye.